G'day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Killer Trades. Good to be here. Craig Cobb here. Going to take you through the market. Quite a bit to speak about, actually, this week. Bitcoin had a fall. Bitcoin had a bounce. That was last week. Let's break down what the chart says. Of course, don't forget, this is all going to be in the Discord community, the Killer Trades Discord community. Find the link just below here. Get into that Discord because I'm going to start sharing a little bit more as we go as well and introducing you to my methodology and how I trade these markets. But before we go any further, I'm going to dive straight here into the big dog Bitcoin. As it hovers around 77,000, kind of feels like it's been there for a while now. I'm going to talk to you about this right here. Now, I'm a trend trader. I've been doing this for 21 years in all markets. Crypto is my favorite because the reward to risk ratio is far greater. And if you're a trader, you want to have a large multiple of reward for your risk. It just makes mathematical sense. And what I've got here is a lower high to a lower low. We broke down through here over on this date, the 13th of May. And subsequently have continued to the downside. So the daily's in a downtrend. There's another little lower high right here. So that high, 78,175. Remember that number. We pushed lower with a significant fall on the Friday. And interestingly, let's have a look here. This is the candle on the Saturday. We were selling off quite significantly. Real quick sell-off. Down 1.72%. Then we saw from its low, boing, a big move back up. It recovered 3.3%. God knows why, but I'm going to show you a couple of things that are important to note. Again, coming to the 1 hour here, going granular. Here it is. This is where the selling came in. It came in and it came in a bit. It came in abundance. Excuse me. Sold off really, really hard. And then look at this bounce. And this is what we've been seeing. We haven't seen great cyclicity. And when I talk about cyclicity, I mean that the trend. I think it's like Tarzan swinging from, vine to vine through the bloody, I don't know, I'm 42 years old. I think of Tarzan. I think of the Jungle Book. I'm an old man. Think of swinging from tree to tree. That's what you want a trend to look like. Here, swing in, fall, swing in, big fall, and just continue to fall. Then a big bounce, then a lot of messiness. We're getting a lot of this choppy, go nowhere, sloppy, choppy, rubbish, crap. Doesn't mean they haven't been trading opportunities. It's just meant that Bitcoin's been a little bit yuck. It's really struggled to maintain any sort of trend. Now, I'm going to come back to this daily. I'm going to show you why I think this bounced off, why we got this bounce here. If I bring out the weekly here, have a look through here. Let's go back to over in, what was it? March 2024. That was our all-time high, right? We pushed to a new all-time high. We choppy, Trumps in, boof, run up to 100 grand. That was the catalyst for that. Crypto, friendly, positive, president, all that sort of stuff. We ripped away. And we pulled back in very close to that level, ripped away again. Then we came down through it, found resistance, sold. Now we got the other side of it. We've come down very close to that and we've had a bit of a bounce. It's the last level of support and the first level of support that I see as being significant for Bitcoin in the current time frame. Now, we're a fair way from there, but here's a couple of things to note. If we break up through the high of this candle, 78,175, we will have ceased this daily downtrend because we will have gone from lower high to lower low to lower low to higher high. There's no trend there. If we can roll over here and take out this level, I do think we've got a fairly strong run down to around the $65,000 mark. I think there's there's nothing really saving us. There's nothing significant until about that $65,000 level. And around those levels, people will start to be a little bit more uncomfortable that we're buying throughout this run. So how do we position for that? But before I go and show you how we position for that, I want to show you the 4 hour because there is still a case that we move higher. Okay, there really still is. And I know this right now is not one of the things where like a lot of people want, this is the direction that Bitcoin is going to go. Well, I don't do that unless I'm very, unless I've got everything coming together. What I don't have coming together is everything because I got a 4 hour that's higher low, higher high. We've got this level here that would break the downtrend on the daily. If Bitcoin can trade below these two levels, then I think we do see further downside. And right now, given how we've pulled back on this daily, I would be leaning towards some downside. Okay, that's the way I would be leaning right now because the charts are starting to show me, and that daily trend is the one that I'm going to be keeping the closest eye on. Couple of other things to bring into this. I'm going to show you through Ethereum and the rest of the top 10 because with Ethereum, I've been saying it for quite a while. It's kind of been the canary in the altcoin coal mine. When Ethereum is selling off, alts not doing so well. Don't get me wrong. There have been some great performers, and that's where the trading opportunities have come for me. over the last 7 days. But look at Ethereum. Let's compare it to Bitcoin. Bitcoin was, moving quite nicely, pushing to new higher highs. At the same time, Ethereum was not. When Ethereum sold off, it sold off strong. When Ethereum pulled back, it pulled right back into this cradle zone and it sold off strong. This is the area that I've built 20 years of trading, 20-year trading career around, these moving averages. So Ethereum looking very, very weak. And Ethereum's selling, right? Ethereum sold off before Bitcoin. Ethereum led the charge to the downside. Ethereum does currently look rather weak. I think Ethereum might see further downside. I think the rest of the market will probably follow with Ethereum. Have a look at Cardano. It is very much being sold off. We did start to pick up some momentum. Then we sold it all back. Now we're sitting down around this support, down around these lower levels of the chart, which really were not too far away from that big sell-off that we saw in February where Bitcoin crashed down to 59 or 58,000. Anyway, we breached 60. The altcoins have not recovered the same way as Bitcoin. So if you are holding these alts, I'm not holding, you're going to need some patience, guys, if you're going to hold through. Again, you look at XRP, still very sideways in a sloppy box. Doge broke out, but has since come back quite significantly. Solana, within a box, it had 1 week. Have a look. It had 1 good week where it was up 15% or thereabouts. And then the next week sold it all right back. We are seeing the momentum fail. The buying momentum is failing significantly. Look at Bitcoin Cash. Last week, down nearly 15%. The week before, 12.8. The momentum is definitely to the downside there. There's a weight on the market pulling us down, and it's really difficult for it to continue to have any upward momentum. Hyperliquid, different kettle of fish, different business model. It's performing extremely well, a very, very strong market. Binance, another one here, again, struggling to leave or really hold any momentum to the upside. Tron has been looking quite good. And in fact, I'm actually stalking trades on Tron today. If it can pull back into these moving averages right here, I'll be looking for longs. My point that I'm trying to make here is that whilst Bitcoin has sort of been all right, and it has had a bit of a bounce on that Saturday. If you look across the rest of the market, and I scan the market each day, right? I look at the market. It is definitely not, all signs point to higher. In fact, the flip side that, I'd say the only one that's held pretty well is Bitcoin, whilst everything else, aside from Hyperliquid, has looked very, very heavy. This week, don't be surprised at all if we see further downside. There is a lot of weight in the market right now. And during bear markets, which I don't disagree that we're in, we have these periods of rallies, then we see selling come back in. We've seen some selling come back in. I believe that we'll probably see that continue throughout the week. Maybe not taking out these lows, but possibly a period of consolidation, which means alts will probably bleed quite significantly throughout this week. Things can change quickly, of course. Jump into Discord so I can let you know when things do change and what I'm seeing. Have yourself a wonderful week. I'll keep you in the loop. I'll speak to you very, very soon. And join Killer Trades. Bye for now.